I'm going to focus on the number 3, 4, 5, and 6, primarily because the timelines for 1 and 2 have passed. So travel and tourism is a new notice of funding opportunity, NOFO is what I'll call it, that came out, I think it was in late July, as well as the economic adjustment assistance, the indigenous communities, and the Good Jobs Challenge. So I'll go into some more detail on each of those here in a moment, but in the past, EDA has always had 1 NOFO, so it's been interesting trying to learn 6 all at once. And I guess the thing I would point out even more so is the dollars there that are showing, like the 750 for travel and tourism, is actually a number nationwide that was allocated to by Congress. So our Denver region encompasses 10 states, which basically is Iowa and Missouri to Montana and the Dakotas to Utah. So our 750 quickly becomes 20 million to cover 10 states. Same thing for the economic adjustment assistance. The 500 million becomes roughly 60 million. And there's a subset in there for about 24 million for coal impacted areas. And then indigenous communities, the 100 becomes a little over 11 million. And then the Good Jobs Challenge actually is a nationwide effort. So we don't know what that is. That deadline is forthcoming. So next slide. So I'll jump into the travel and tourism. There was a non-competitive component for the state. You guys may have heard about it, but I won't go into too much detail with that. I think they're still working out the details of what that's going to look like. But what we want to focus on is the competitive funding that's available. That's under that 240 million, which truly equates to 20 million for our 10 states. But we're just trying to help accelerate communities that were impacted by COVID that are very much relying on the travel and tourism areas. So everything from infrastructure to trails to the NOFO lists a fair sizable number of or types of projects, I guess. There's everything water and storm sewer, pier construction, which probably won't happen in our area. New outdoor recreation, nature-based infrastructure, cultural arts and tourism facilities, workforce training facilities, accessibility enhancements, and countrywide and multi-state travel and tourism promotion. So truly it's uncharted territory for EDA because our primary mission in the past has been skilled labor, good paying jobs, if you will, like manufacturing, the trades, that sort of thing. So the travel and tourism is definitely a new area for us. I think what's going to be most competitive is if we can tie some sort of job creation and or retention and any sort of private investment to a project from EDA. I really think those are going to be a little more challenging in the travel and tourism sector compared to what we typically would fund, but I still think if we can attribute some of those, it'll be helpful. Next slide, please. So economic adjustment assistance. This is actually one of our flagship programs that EDA has had for 50 plus years. And there's actually just a pot of funding available for that under this ARPA NOFO. So this is truly what I was mentioning before with, if it's not a travel and tourism project, that if it's got the job creation component, diversification, resiliency sort of efforts, I think that's where it would work in this. And I really believe the job creation, job retention, and private investment are going to be critical in being competitive for this bucket of money. Also under this, it says 200 million available for coal, communities commitment. That's where I mentioned roughly 24 million is available for coal impacted areas in our 10 states. Eligible applicants on all of these, both the tourism and this one, is basically anyone but a for-profit. So a town, a county, a state, college, tribe, university, pretty wide open as long as it's not a for-profit. This program also has the need for a beneficiary where we say as a result of EDA's investment in this infrastructure or whatever it is, that we've got a beneficiary on the backside that says, as a result of EDA's investment, I, the business, plan to create 30 jobs over a 9-year period and invest 12 million in private investment, or whatever the number is. The deadline for this one, I'll get to a third one here in a second, is February 1 to apply for. The NOFO actually shows March 31st, I believe. But we're trying to make the round as competitive as possible. So we did it in 2 tranches, where the first one was applications received by October 1, were reviewed in October and decided in November with announcements already made. Same thing will be for the February 1 applications. They'll be reviewed in February, decided in March with announcements likely in March. So next slide. So the Indigenous Communities funding is available to tribes only. So it actually has to be a tribe that applies for this. And these funds are truly flexible of whatever the reservation needs. Is it infrastructure? Is it workforce development? I think housing would be a far stretch from EDA to participate with, but I've been told that we would consider infrastructure for housing. So in the past, that's not something we could help out with because it had to have jobs tied to it. So let's go forward. That one has about 11 million available to it. So next slide. Next slide. Here's our webpage that's got all sorts of information from 1-pagers on each of those NOFOs to there's been recorded webinars available. There's FAQs that actually are updating in real time. So as something changes and there's new questions that come in with we can answer, we update them there as well. So I would encourage you to check out that website.